Well, hello, and welcome to the Postgame show here on OSN. The Ottawa Senators lose 3-2 to the Florida Panthers and continue right now to nosedive in a time where people would like them, and the Ottawa Senators need to be a little bit better. 3-2 the final. The Florida Panthers defeat the Ottawa Senators. And this was a game that a lot of people were looking in on to say, who are the Ottawa Senators? How are they going to respond? How are they going to end up getting past the drama that is taking place? And tonight was not a great night for that. Claude Giroux goal and an assist. Fabian Zetterlund had the other goal. They got a lucky break on the Zetterlund goal to begin things, and they couldn't hold it. Levi Merilainen in goal for Ottawa. And again, at least one goal that absolutely should have been stopped. And we can have arguments on the other goal. Some of the controversies that will come in this game will be from the potential major that should have been called against the Florida Panthers in this game. That was only given a minor penalty for boarding, and Artem Zub ended up leaving the game after that hit and not coming back. So we look forward to the chat. We look forward to getting some of your questions answered here on the OSN postgame show. So you go back to the beginning here of what you expected tonight from the Ottawa Senators. What did people expect? I expected some effort. I expected some urgency. I expected to see a team that was sick and tired of being talked about, and they were going to show people on the ice exactly what they could do. And it did not turn out that way. I didn't see any urgency, didn't see any ability to turn the dial up to say, this is the style of play. This is what we need to do. How do we be better? Every player, urgent. And they couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And there'll be a lot of negativity over the next couple of days because they don't play Sunday, they don't play Monday, and they take on the Vancouver Canucks at home before going on the road to take on the New York Rangers. As you look back on this game, 20 shots on goal. 20 shots on goal in a game that you absolutely had to have. Because remember, no Sasha Barkov, no Brad Marchand. They were missing some of their big players in this game. They even had a first time in Sandis Vilmanis play his first NHL game because they were hurting with injuries. But still, the Florida Panthers still found a way to outshoot, and other than the last couple of minutes of the game, outplay the Ottawa Senators. Looking at the shot attempts tonight, man, if you're urgent and everything is going to the net and you are going to make sure that the Florida Panthers have to block shots, not really a lot tonight. The Ottawa Senators only had 7 shots on goal that were blocked by Florida all night long. 20 shots, 7 blocked, 24 that missed the net. A total of 51 shot attempts for the Ottawa Senators. And quite frankly, that's not good enough. You go through the lineup and you say, who was really good tonight? Well, on the score sheet, Claude Giroux was really good. Goal and an assist, a +2. Played 18-27, had a couple of shots on goal. Went a cool 92% in the faceoff dot. 92. 11-1 on the night. Also had a breakaway that he missed that I'm sure he would have liked to have scored. It would have made it 3-2 at the time and given Ottawa a lot more time to be able to try and come back from this. We welcome you to the chat. First three words in the chat on the OSN post-game show, season's over. Well, that's not very inspiring. But it probably is hanging by a thread because let's go through the out-of-town scoreboard. And as we do, think about all the teams in front of Ottawa and did they get points? Well, the Bruins hung a 10 spot on the Rangers this afternoon. 10-2, they beat the New York Rangers, so Boston gets 2 points. The Buffalo Sabres, they keep winning. They had a 3-0 lead. They ended up holding on to win 5-3 over the Anaheim Ducks. Jack Quinn, the Ottawa native, with a couple. The Toronto Maple Leafs, just ahead of Ottawa. 5-0 winners over the Vancouver Canucks. 5 different goal scorers, including William Nylander and John Tavares. 4-0, the Detroit Red Wings beat the Montreal Canadiens. Alex DeBrincat, Larkin, Raymond, and Kopp all with goals there. Florida obviously won. Tampa gets a 7-2 victory over Philadelphia. And yes, Carolina won, but they are way ahead. But you look to the standings, and Ottawa just another night where they don't get points, and another night that pretty much everyone around them does. And that is just not going to be good enough. So the Ottawa Senators now with 45 points trail the Rangers and the Devils with 46, but Florida now up to 49, but they needed to win. Buffalo wins again. They're third in a row. They have won 13 of their last 14. The Buffalo Sabres now in the first wild card spot. Tied with Washington points, but have 2 games in hand. They've kicked Pittsburgh temporarily out of the playoffs. The Leafs now only 1 point back. The Boston Bruins 2 points back. And unfortunately, you start to go. The Devils have lost 3 in a row. The Rangers have lost 3 in a row. The Sens have lost 4 in a row. The Blue Jackets have lost 4 in a row, but everybody else ahead of them winning. Tampa won their 9th in a row. The Sabres have won 3 in a row. The Leafs have won 3 in a row. So it's going to be a very difficult uphill climb because you're expecting tonight. I'll be frank with you. I didn't really know if the Ottawa Senators were going to win tonight, but I expected a hell of an effort. I expected this to feel from the Ottawa side like it was a playoff game. And I'm trying to think of somebody on the ice that I watched in this game, and we'll see if Tanner gets back in time in the snow. He might not, but that's okay. His perspective on what he saw from the second row going to tonight's game. Tanner Ryle, our insider, Sens insider here on OSN. But watching from afar and watching on TV, there was no urgency. Like, who do you think played really well tonight? Who stood out? Who showed tonight that, yeah, we're not going to take this? Because the first guy you think of is Brady Tkachuk. Once again, Brady Tkachuk's numbers: played 19 minutes. He had 3 shots on goal. He had 2 hits. And he took 8 draws tonight. And he only won 3 of them. 2 hits for Brady Tkachuk. 2. Others on the chat. The OSN chat, click the YouTube page, and go on in. Talk to us after the game, a 3-2 victory for the Florida Panthers over the Ottawa Senators. The Rangers saw Colorado lost by Ottawa and said, hold my beer. We need to give up another one. Ben is in with Sens need to play with some pride. Reimer will not help, unfortunately. Well, James Reimer looks like he's going to play tomorrow for the Belleville Senators. I disagree a little bit. I thought one and or two of the goals were not very good tonight. Again. And look, the Ottawa Senators aren't going to win many games where they only score 2 goals. This was not squarely on Levi Merrilainen again, but they needed somebody to come and pick them up. First goal is terrible. I mean, it's just stoppable. There's nobody in front. Yeah, it's a nice drag move on Tim Stützle, but there is nobody in front. Rodriguez can't go in. Second goal, big screen in front. Can't really fault him on that one. But the third one, again, looked a little bit out of position. Not a lot of people in front. It's a great shot. But man, you got to stop a puck. You really just need to stop a puck. So is James Reimer going to help with that? I don't know. Can't be worse. Merrilainen's the only guy that's sort of stopping a puck right now because Matt Sogard, Hunter Shepard, they are not doing that. So will James Reimer help? Not completely. Just reading the chat and a couple others in here. Scoring and ability to finish is starting to be a concern. I don't know about that. How many great chances did they have tonight to score and they had an inability to finish? The Giroux breakaway. But other than that, big push at the end. Didn't really get much. I mean, come on, man. 20 shots. 20. In a game you absolutely had to have. Where the whole world's talking about you for whatever reason. Ben's back in on the chat. Leafs made a small coaching change and started to go on a run. Sens should do something. Capitalized. Like what? You going to fire Alfie, Ben? Is Travis Green's fault? Don't think so. I'm not a big fan of, if you want to do something small, everyone continues to bring up the name of Justin Peters. I don't think he's got a lot to work with. Really don't think he's got a lot to work with. I'm not going to blame him at all. See, I knew it. See, I beat you to it. Start with Peters. No. Stop thinking that the goaltending coach is going to make Levi Merrilainen and Hunter Shepard and Mads Sogard better. We went through it before, but we'll go through it again. If you had to be honest and take a step back and say, where do you think the talent level of the Ottawa Senators goaltending is right now as compared to the rest of the league? Probably bottom 5, bottom 2. People are, hey, if you're looking for somebody to blame and you want to blame a goaltending coach on a lack of talent, go ahead. Sub 900 shooting percentage across all goalies under him, says Ben. 4 goalies under Peters struggled with long shots. 4. That's a pattern. That's coaching, not working on this. Folks, very appreciative of all of your words coming in. We need a discussion. They are professional goaltenders stopping long shots with nobody in front. You don't need a goalie coach to be able to teach them how to do it. And when they don't do it, you don't need to blame the goaltending coach. You need to blame the players, or you need to blame the organization for putting those people in the spots that they're in. This is the organization's fault not having a good backup plan if something ever happened to Linus Ullmark or he just didn't play well. Because Levi Merilainen is not a starter, and he's not a great backup. He's an average backup, maybe below average backup. And Matt Sogard and Hunter Shepard are nowhere near this league right now. You can't blame a goalie coach for that. Have you looked at the defense? This is where we get in this swirl of like Matt and Palo and Jordan Spence and Jensen and Clevin. Clevin's the guy, I'll go on about it forever. Clevin's the guy I feel bad for. Clevin's the guy that should be out there with a Thomas Chabot every night. He's not. He goes out there with worse defenseman than him. It's not fair to him. He's not an NHL full-time defenseman, like in a top 4 position yet. And he goes out there and plays with somebody worse than him every night. And it rotates. I feel like that's not very fair to him. But we have this kind of echo chamber here in Ottawa where somehow Thomas Chabot and Artem Zub are the second coming of National Hockey League defensemen, and we overestimate how good they are. And now we look at the organization who's put Matt and Palo and Jordan Spence and Tyler Clevin and Jensen with one hip, and hoping that defense core can thwart off teams from coming in and exposing their bad goaltending. This is a structural, organizational issue. So you want to fire Justin Peters because he's not a Steve Stais, Michael Andlauer guy? Fine. You want to make a scapegoat to somebody? Be my guest. But he ain't the problem. Ben's back in. Murray, Talbot, Gustafson, Korpisalo. On paper, the Sens are worse than last year, minus Jensen's drop-off in play. It's essentially the same team. Maybe they got lucky last year. Maybe we overestimated who they were last year. Because if you think that defense core is a good defense core, it's a playoff defense core, you are mistaken. It's not good enough. And their goaltending, organizationally, not good enough. They have decent numbers up front. Those are starting to trail off now, but they're still in the top of the league in a lot of offensive categories. And I'm not going to blame the offense on this. You can blame forwards for not being defensively aware. But this defense core and the goaltending core, not good enough. Not good enough. Is Detroit's defense better on paper? I don't think so. All right. Well, we'll do a nice little comparison here. Because I probably disagree, because I think Edmondson's a really good defenseman. Ben Chiarot is better than most guys on the Ottawa Senators right now. Obviously, Seider's a massive part of that team. I understand what you're saying. It's not overwhelmingly better. It's a discussion. But Detroit has much better goaltending and consistency with some of their forwards playing a team game. So if you're looking to fault, like if you look at Detroit and you think that they're structurally, under McClellan, they have a good coach, but they have some top end players. Detroit hasn't had injuries. Let's be real. Where are the injuries on the Ottawa Senators defense? I can't find them. That is their defense core. I mean, you can say that Jensen's hurt and still playing through it. Okay. But they got who they got. They're all playing. Getting a Shabbat was injured most of the season. Yeah, I think when Thomas Shabbat was out of the lineup, they were worse for sure. And it kind of showed his value. But it's also an $8 million defenseman playing what? As your number 3. And quite frankly, is just okay. You can't pay a guy $8 million to be like, okay. So the Sens have now played going into tonight 43. Shabbat had played 28. So, yeah, I mean, he's missed a third of the season. We nearly lost Zub tonight. Yes, because Artem Zub was making a really big difference in the game. Ben's back in. Philly, Pittsburgh, Detroit, the Rangers all have suspect defense. Okay, well, the Rangers stink. So, like, the Rangers are like in Ottawa bad territory. The Rangers will not make the playoffs. And if you want to compare your defense to the New York Rangers, that's probably not good. Philly, Pittsburgh. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but those teams they're not world beaters. They have, like, they're barely getting on, and they're going through the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're going through a nice little streak. I know they lost today, but they've been pretty good, 7-3 in their last 10. They had won 7-6 in a row going into today. But let's get back to, yes, but they're currently playoff teams. I know. Yeah. And like tomorrow they won't be. And by the way, the Philadelphia Flyers aren't a playoff team right now. They are. You know what? Okay. There's a bunch of teams at 52 and they are. But the Penguins are not. The Rangers are not. And you got a bunch of teams in the murky middle. There's not a huge difference between the Flyers, the Sabres, the Penguins, the Capitals. I think Ottawa is worse. The Devils are worse. The Rangers are worse. Columbus, not very good. But if you're hoping to be at the level of, like, can we get to where Pittsburgh is? Can we get to where Philly is? That's not something you should be striving for. But let's get back to tonight's game. Did you see urgency? There are some in on the chat that were at the game. Did you see a different level of urgency in the play, in their eyes, in the effort? Did they look desperate? Was their body language really good? Did it seem like a playoff game? Ask yourself all of those questions because it should have. I certainly will listen to the people that were in the arena, only watched it on television tonight. I didn't see it. I didn't see any kind of desperation in the club whatsoever. Once again, Tim Stützle's usually the best player on the ice. He always looks energetic, partially because he's a really fast skater. But it looked like Claude Giroux was trying to play a very professional, I'm going to do my part. And he usually does, but I noticed it a little bit more tonight. Jake Sanderson was all over the ice again in a good way. Those that were there, Giroux, Pinto, Sanderson, Stützle. That's it. That's pretty much how it came across to me on TV. I would say Stützle, Sanderson, and Giroux. Where was the captain tonight? Yes, I slowed it down, but where was he? Where was Ridley Gregg on his bobblehead night? I thought Thomas Chabot is one of the leaders on the team. Somehow we just slough off Thomas Chabot not being great. Oh, he was okay. He was average. Yeah, he makes $8 million. And he doesn't play in your top defense pair. Shouldn't he be better? So for the assessment there on the ice, let's talk about the boarding call. Artem Zub gets boarded, and I just don't have an explanation as to why they didn't call a major after reviewing it. It just all the signs, all of the things you look for in a major were there. Did he hit him from behind? Yes. Did he hit him in the numbers? Yes. Did he hit him in that area 3-4 feet away from the boards? Yes. Was the player looking? Could he have known that it was coming? No. I have no idea how that was not a 5-minute major, especially because if Artem Zub had just stayed down through their review, of course it's a 5-minute major. So you're going to actually punish the guy because he got up and was tough about it? Yeah, that sucks. That really sucks. The NHL is terrible that way. Absolutely terrible. We are not, we're going to punish teams for guys staying down, or sorry, for guys getting up. And if they stay down, yeah, I guess we better call it because the image doesn't look very good. Chat is rolling here. Notice some tape on Timmy's neck and back in the third. Yeah, I would, everyone's playing a little banged up for sure. 8 million doesn't go as far as it used to. Well, it actually went further when they signed him to that contract. I don't care about the money. I care that Thomas Chabot should be a better player for the Ottawa Senators. He seems to just fly under the radar. No, if he doesn't have a great game, if he doesn't do something, people don't criticize him. It's like the expectation level for him is low, low, low. Some respect to Shane Pinto for being willing to go at it with Bennett. Yep, Pinto looks like he cares on the ice when he plays. And boy, the Ottawa Senators could use more of that. So what's upcoming here for the Senators? They got a couple days off. They got the Vancouver Canucks on Tuesday. They got the New York Rangers on Wednesday, and then a couple of more days off, and then a huge back-to-back with the Canadians at home, and then going on the road 22 hours later, a 5 o'clock start in Detroit on Sunday. And those are the next 4 games for Ottawa. And we always talk like this, like, oh, you look at the schedule and you're like, oh, that looks like a win. That looks like a win. Well, they should be able. Vancouver looked not good tonight. I flipped over to that game a couple times. The Leafs, even when they weren't scoring, were dominating the play. And Vancouver had no answers. I mean, you'd like to think that you could beat the Rangers, but I don't know. It's a back-to-back. You play Vancouver, you fly out to New York. Then you come right back home. You got Montreal on Saturday, in Detroit on Sunday. And then I would say a couple of winnable games on the road in Columbus, on the road in Nashville Tuesday, Thursday next week. And then it gets very, very difficult, including a back-to-back at home. Carolina and Vegas, followed up by the Avalanche coming to town after that. So we'll update you a little bit here on the NFL. A incredible game earlier. The Carolina Panthers gave the LA Rams every single thing that they could handle and more. At one point, I thought they were going to win, but the Rams, once again, Matt Stafford, game-winning drive, and with 30 seconds to go, throws a touchdown pass to put the Rams up 34-31, and they hung on. Carolina did have a chance to get into field goal range, but the Rams defense shut Bryce Young down 34-31, and the Rams survive. And currently, they are early fourth quarter. The Green Bay Packers have led from the beginning 21-6. The Bears really haven't done a whole lot. Watched the first half of that game, and it was all Green Bay. 21-3 at the half. The Bears have only got a field goal since. So it looks like Green Bay going to be moving on. Another chat comes in. Team had poor body language tonight. Frankly, it looks like they're just going through the motions. Brady especially. Well, that's like at any point, that's not good with where they are in the standings, but what they're coming off of and the language that they're using in the dressing room about all the rumors and everything that's happening, you would think that their body language would be better. Oh, look at this. Junior Benito has turned heel at Acclaim per Z Gibbon. Wow. I always knew that snake in the grass would turn heel. No. Maybe a well-deserved heel turn. Just updating some of the games that are ongoing right now. About 4 minutes to go. The Islanders and the Wild tied at 3. The Blackhawks have a 2-0 lead in Nashville. It's about 3.5 minutes left to go. An early goal from Leon Draisaitl has the Oilers out to a 1-0 lead over the LA Kings. The Blues and Golden Knights also tied at 1. Mitchell Marner with his 10th of the year. Yeah, I thought Mitchell Marner would have more. But I know he's done pretty well. Just looking at some of the Sens Twitter, and some of the quotes are coming out from the coach. And The first quote coming out, Travis Green thought that they lacked a little desperation. Well, that's not good at all. I think everyone was expecting a high energy game, weren't they? Like a chance to get the crowd into it, a chance to get a little bit of momentum, a chance to show that you have some fight in you. Well, that never really happened. That's the surprising part for me, is that there's it just looked like another game tonight. And for Ottawa fans, that sucks. I actually don't even understand it. And you wonder how people are feeling right now. But how do they fix it? How do they fix it, folks? That's the answer, because people are going to be mad tonight. People are going to be mad tomorrow. They're going to throw out all these crazy ideas where that's, I mean, you'll probably hear the Brady Kachucks and, like, oh, let's trade Tim Stutzel, let's trade Jake Sanderson and see what we can get. You're going to hear all of that. But that's not what should happen, obviously. But how do you fix it is the point. And you want to know why the Sens are in such a desperate mode right now? Detroit 7-2-1 in their last 10. Tampa 9-1 in their last 10. Montreal 6-2-2 in their last 10. Buffalo 9-1 in their last 10. Toronto 7-1-2 in their last 10. So losing all of these points right now, man, it's very difficult. Did have a chance to watch the NHL headlines with Elliot Friedman. And coming in on the chat, I was going to bring this up. He did say that the Ottawa Senators do expect Linus Ullmark back at some point this year. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's an easy thing to say right now to just calm the waters, but who knows? Elliot Friedman didn't have much to say other than both he and Ron McLean kind of backed the organization for the statement, saying that it was the right thing to do to stand up for the organization and stand up for other people looking in and stand up for the players and the wives and the girlfriends, because they're the ones that are affected. And if that's what they thought they were doing and they were going to accomplish that, okay, I can hear that for sure. If you are doing that and people feel more united because you did that, okay. My question is, does it look like that on the ice? And the answer is no. Someone else in on the chat with let's fire Peters. You know what? That's a really good suggestion. We haven't heard that in 3 minutes. So I think that's nice. Yeah, we should really consider firing the goalie coach that can't make sub AHL goaltenders into National Hockey League stars. Must be the coach's fault. Travis Green with there's another level of desperation we can play with. I just thought it was sporadical. If you play 20 shifts, it's playing desperate for 20 shifts, not 18. We didn't play terrible. We just didn't quite get it done. Our power play's got to be better. We got to be better around the net, not just our net, their net. Yeah, I don't know what Travis Green should say in these moments. I really don't. They weren't terrible tonight, but again, look at all the people that weren't in the Florida lineup. And while they weren't terrible, Florida hasn't looked very good this week. They have so many big guys out of the lineup, and they came in and looked decent. So while I don't think Ottawa played awful, like, okay, this is exactly what should happen. The Ottawa Senators should have gone out and be running all over the Florida Panthers tonight. That doesn't mean they should have beat the Florida Panthers. It means that they should have been playing at the level of looking like they gave a damn about not only what is happening, but their team putting the statement out and backing everybody up. Most importantly, in the standings, you have a team that's right beside you in the standings who are missing a number of big players in their lineup. Like no Barkov, no Kachuk, no Marchand. And you made them feel good about their game. They were in control. The Florida Panthers were in control of this game almost the entire way through. And that part of it is unacceptable. I know they're the defending Stanley Cup champions. I'm just saying the desperation or the urgency, or call it what you will, had to be off the charts tonight. How could it not have been? And it wasn't. I just know the way our players are. I know their character. I've watched them. I've coached them for a year and a half. So, yeah, I do have a lot of belief in them. Well, what is Travis Green going to say? He doesn't have belief in his own players? Come on. Like, Bears got a field goal 21-9, trying to stay in it. Man, Florida was just average tonight, and they made Ottawa look average. Like, nobody on Florida was unbelievably good. I think the most frustrating part was that until the very end, our only goal was a lucky bounce. Yeah, it was a very lucky bounce. It was just a misplay by Sergei Bobrovsky, which you just don't really see very often. And that's all they generated until less than 2 minutes to go in the hockey game. Like, it's just not good enough. I would totally agree with that. It's not that they didn't score, it's that they didn't look like they were dangerous. They didn't look like they had big swarms of chances to try to score. They looked like they were going through the motions a little bit. Chat comes in. Personally, would have liked to have seen more passion from Green with the major call. What's the worst that can happen if he gets thrown out? Crowd was trying more than he was. You know what? I don't disagree with that. I wonder if that was a spot where he could have picked his spot to have something to really stand up for his team and try and get him going. Seemed like a good time. Got a pretty major part of their defense core that gets taken advantage of. They review it. They already had the crowd, a little bit of momentum behind a bad call. He could have really riled them up and hopefully riled up the team as well. I think that's a really good observation, because if Travis Green was ever going to pick a spot, hard to think that there would have been a better one, or there will be a better one coming up soon. Because what's the downside? He gets thrown out and the crowd gets even more riled up. And if the team doesn't respond, well, If they can't respond to that, what are you going to do? You can't fault the coach for trying. So yeah, I would agree with that. It's a good observation. Some smart people in the chat tonight. Ben's here too. So another one comes in. Too many passes on odd man rushes. Shoot the puck. Well, welcome to the Ottawa Senators. That's what they do all the time. Look, it's something that all teams do, but the Ottawa Senators are very guilty of that. Very, very guilty. You go through some of the other players. We went through Brady's numbers already, and they are unspectacular tonight. Didn't get on the scoreboard at all. 3 shots, 2 hits, 38% in the faceoff dot with 8 draws. Pinto, 2 assists, a +2. He had more hits than Brady did. Went 71% in the faceoff dot. Again, Claude Giroux had himself probably the best night. He had 1-1, goal and assist, 2 points, +2, played 18 minutes, went 11 for 12 in the faceoff dot. And Jake Sanderson had 4 shots on goal and 1 that was blocked and 3 that missed the net. And Jake Sanderson had 8 of the 51 shot attempts tonight. I mean, I know that's usual for him, but it's just who else do they have? Like, what else do they do? David Perron played less than 10 minutes tonight. He played the lowest of any Ottawa Senator. And with a veteran in a big spot, you would think that you could lean on that guy a little bit more. Unfortunately not. So the Ottawa Senators now in a real tough spot because they have lost 4 games in a row. And it is a very inopportune time with the week that they have had. 2 days off. Vancouver in town on Tuesday. The Rangers host Ottawa on Wednesday night. And like we said, Montreal and Detroit on the weekend. And those teams are starting to look further and further away. Well, the Bears have made it interesting here. 21-16 now. After getting a field goal, 21-9, and something must have happened as I'm sitting here with you and I don't have the game on. But that's a pretty quick touchdown that the Bears have got. So the NFL looks good. We got some good games tomorrow. We got Buffalo and Jacksonville tomorrow, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and then New England and the Chargers will go at it. So it's turned out pretty well. I think the playoffs so far and some of the matchups and some of the intrigue going into it. But man, oh man, oh man. You look at the schedule ahead and you think of all the things that happened tonight again with Ottawa losing and teams around them winning. You look at tomorrow, Boston plays Pittsburgh. Somebody's getting points there. Washington's in Nashville. And then on Monday, there's actually a slew of games, which usually doesn't happen on a Monday. But Florida's in Buffalo. That's just not a good matchup for the Ottawa Senators, and you just hope it's not a 3-point game. Montreal's hosting the slumping Vancouver Canucks on Monday. Toronto's in Colorado, so at least teams have to go through what Ottawa has done, but they're going to be even further behind when they hit the ice on Tuesday. Thoughts on Dougie Hamilton being scratched? Well, I think they're scratching him to make a point, the New Jersey Devils, and looks like they've already made some of the point because Dougie Hamilton said he wasn't going to waive his no trade clause, and now Dougie Hamilton is open to a reduced list. And so he looks like he is considering moving. If you're a baseball fan, how about Alex Bregman, former Red Sox, signs with the Chicago Cubs in a 5-year, $175 million deal. Wow. You wonder what that will do for Bo Bichette and suitors going after him. Yes, Bregman's a third baseman, but there's only so many guys out there that can do that. So that's happening right now. Toronto media would love Dougie Hamilton. Yeah, they probably would. I think the Devils are probably doing what they should be doing and looking towards finding some space to make sure that they can improve their team and open it up when Quinn Hughes is able to get there. Because they realize they are not a very good hockey team right now. And look, that's maybe where we're going to be here with the Ottawa Senators, right? Like, at some point, we're going to get to a spot where the Senators should be making some decisions. So appreciate all of you on the chat. I know it's been a long ride home, and people who are at the game, coming home, participating in the chat. Be safe. It's been awesome. Thank you very much to everybody on the chat with the OSN post-game show. The Ottawa Senators, unfortunately, with, we'll call it a pedestrian effort tonight. Not horrible, but not good enough. And they lose 3-2 to the Florida Panthers. The updated standings right now, as we sit, the Buffalo Sabres and Washington Capitals, both with 52 points, sit in the wild card positions. Philadelphia also has 52, third place in the Metro. The Penguins and the Maple Leafs at 51, just behind. The Boston Bruins with 50. Florida now with 49 after the win. And then a 3-point gap down to the Devils and the Rangers. And then the Senators at 45. So right now, officially, Ottawa 7 points back of a playoff spot, but they would have to pass 7 teams. So I guess lucky number 7 tonight, 7 points back, and they'd have to pass 7 teams. Things are getting very bleak here in the second week of January for the Ottawa Senators. Tough night, tough weekend, but they do get a couple of days off and can regroup next week, and they're going to have to. They're going to have to go on a big streak. And will we see James Reimer in goal for the Ottawa Senators during the week? I have a feeling the answer is yes. With back-to-backs and tough travel, probably Levi Merriline will start again on Tuesday would be my guess, but you wonder if James Reimer would start for Ottawa on the road at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday. We're going to have some good stuff on OSN this week, including some NFL coverage from our good friend James Duke Ellingson. Our Sens insider, Tanner Ryle, will be back with the Daily Show as well. And we very much appreciate everybody listening. So another edition of the OSN postgame show. The Ottawa Senators with a 3-2 loss to the Florida Panthers. And we will talk to you soon.